He was a quiet bookkeeper from Cleveland, obsessed with numbers, discipline, and order, the single most valuable resource of the industrial age. Governments tried to stop him. Rivals tried to destroy him, and in the end, they all failed. A machine that could survive any law, any reform, and even the man himself. Welcome to the Financial Historian, where money, power, and history collide. Before Rockefeller became a symbol of greed or philanthropy, he was a product of his time, and his time was ruthless. The mid-1800s were an age of chaos disguised as progress. The United States was reforging itself after Civil War. Railroads stitched the continent together, and new inventions were turning America into the workshop of the world. But every boom needs fuel, and at that moment, the world's lights still burned on kerosene, refined from a foul, sticky liquid. Oil towns became instant gold rushes. Men drilled anywhere they could, then dumped barrels on the market. Prices crashed, rose, and crashed again. It was capitalism's wild frontier, and that's where John D. Rockefeller entered the story. Raised by a devout Baptist mother and a con-man father, Rockefeller grew up believing that chaos was sin and control was salvation. As a bookkeeper, he fell in love with the beauty of balance sheets. When he saw the oil business, he didn't see fortune. He saw waste. In 1870, he created Standard Oil and began imposing order on an industry that had none. While his competitors gambled, Rockefeller negotiated. He struck secret deals with railroads for cheaper shipping. When rivals protested, he bought them out. When they resisted, he crushed them by lowering prices until they begged for a merger. By 1879, Standard Oil refined more than 90% of America's oil. To Rockefeller, this wasn't monopoly, it was efficiency. He once said, "Competition is a sin." His mission, in his own mind, was perfection. He understood that wealth wasn't about producing more. It was about controlling the flow. He bought pipelines, tanker cars, and barrel factories. He didn't just sell oil. He owned the arteries that moved it. Then, he invented something entirely new, the Standard Oil Trust, a network of subsidiaries tied to a single management board, the first corporate superstructure. The word trust would soon become synonymous with monopoly. Rockefeller's efficiency drove down kerosene prices by nearly 80%. Consumers benefited, but rivals called it tyranny. Journalists began calling him the most hated man in America. Yet, to those who knew him, he was polite and methodical, quoting the Bible daily. He lived as if wealth were a moral duty, but power always breeds backlash. In 1904, investigative journalist Ida Tarbell published her expose, detailing his predatory tactics. The public was outraged. The government struck back. After 7 years of legal battles, the Supreme Court declared Standard Oil a monopoly in 1911 and ordered it broken into 34 independent companies. The headlines called it a victory. Rockefeller had been defeated. But the story didn't end there. He owned a quarter of the stock in each of those new companies. When they were split apart, investors rushed to buy them. The combined value of the new firm's ExxonMobil, Chevron tripled within a year. Rockefeller woke up richer than ever. The government shattered his empire and, in the process, diversified his wealth. By 1913, he was the world's first billionaire, with a fortune that would exceed $400 billion today. Then he did something few tycoons would dare. He reinvented himself as a philanthropist. He poured hundreds of millions into universities and medical research, helping to eradicate diseases. The robber baron became the benefactor. He turned reputation into an asset class, creating a blueprint followed by every billionaire since. The formula is simple. Dominate an emerging market. Resist regulation until you're unstoppable. Then rebrand your legacy through philanthropy. The systems he built never disappeared. His trust model became the foundation for corporate America. His vertical integration became the blueprint for companies like Apple and Amazon. Even his defeat became a playbook. When governments later tried to break up other giants, history repeated itself. The fragments often became stronger. Rockefeller had shown that once money reaches critical mass, it bends everything around it. You can't destroy it, only redistribute its orbit. Perhaps his most enduring legacy is psychological. He taught the world that wealth isn't luck, it's engineering. He didn't discover oil. He discovered leverage. Control the infrastructure, and you control the economy. Control the narrative, and you outlive it. Today's monopolies, from tech to data, follow the same unspoken rulebook. We live inside Rockefeller's architecture. The lesson isn't that monopoly is good or evil. It's that systems of wealth always evolve faster than the laws meant to contain them. John D. Rockefeller didn't invent oil. He invented the modern concept of power. He started as a man counting pennies. He died as the architect of capitalism's DNA. If this gave you a new perspective, hit that subscribe button. History has the answers, and I'll show you where to look.